for all things college baseball. Only on the Villains Media Network. Now introducing your hosts, Jay Johnson's Cowboy Cody Slovinsky, Vandy Chris Keenhold, and Mr. Cheesy himself, Randy Jellers. Let's start the show, boys!
Welcome in to the Golden Broom podcast. Chris, I don't know if you know this or not, but on X, our intro video did not play, and our faces have been live that entire time.
Oh my.
That was probably the worst 3 minutes of somebody's life if they sat there and watched that. Looking at our ugly mugs not making any sound, that is terrible. I'm so sorry. Whew. That being said, we were off for a week. We're back. We're ready to talk some baseball. But before we talk some baseball, we got to pay some bills. Look, Chinook Seedery. Best seeds there are. Best seeds ever. Gets no better than that. Use promo code Golden Broom for 10% off your purchase. So go to ChinookSeedery.com.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend the Hatch Chili, but honestly, just get the combo box. Get all the flavors, sample them out. It gets no better than that. But Hatch Chili is king. Parmesan and pepper is good. I mean, they're all good, but those two are my favorites. Chris, what is your favorite flavor by chance?
I mean, I'm going to go kind of original on you.
I knew you were going to do that.
Dill pickle.
Okay.
Is one of my favorites. And I think it's called French toast or something.
Cinnamon crunch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty legit.
So I don't know if you know this, but do you know people are taking their dill pickle seeds and mixing them with sour Skittles?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a combo.
I've seen baseball players do it. Now I've seen people on Twitter do it as well. I don't think I would like that. I'm not a big sour Skittles fan. Never been. I'm not a sour person. No, I don't like it. I'm
right.
I'm a sweet. I like sweets in general, but sour, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But Skittles, I never was a fan of it. Mm-hmm. But I get it. I see where the tanginess would go there. Sounds good.
So we already got some comments, man. I got to throw some up there. My friend Dustin Gregg, where have you been, brother? I've been missing you, sir. Who is the man to beat right now? Obviously, Tennessee's at the top of the list.
They are.
But me personally, even though they lost today, I still think long-term Florida State is a team to beat. That's just my personal thing from what I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Florida State's got a very good roster on them, very good pitching. Midweek games, they count. They matter. But, I mean, let's be real, though. When you play in a Power 5 conference that's a strong conference in baseball, your midweeks do not matter. Losing tonight for Florida State is not going to affect them in the long run at all, unless they happen to go really bad in conference play, which I highly doubt that happens because that team is built very well this year.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the title of tonight's show, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Quote by the legendary Ric Flair. And honestly, the reason for the title of the show is there's been a big debate and argument online between LSU and Tennessee fans because D1 baseball has LSU at 1, Tennessee at 2. Everyone else has Tennessee at 1, LSU at 2. Look, LSU fan here, biased as they get, but I'm also a realist. Look, to me, Tennessee won the national championship. In my eyes, they should have been preseason number 1. I understand why people didn't have them at number 1 because they lost a lot of guys. They really did. But
and it's a different team than it was last year.
It 100% is. That being said, you're talking about Tony Vitello, who is arguably the best coach in college baseball. I mean, if you say he's the best coach in baseball, there's not much of a debate to prove otherwise at the current state. Mm-hmm. And his recruiting is great. His coaching ability to coach guys that may not be, what you would think is a 5-star guy, he can make them that. And he clearly has proved that over the years. I mean, he literally turned manure into gold over his span at Tennessee. And it's been amazing to watch, especially if you're a Tennessee fan. And until they're defeated, you've got to look at them as the best. and you got a gun for them. That's the thing.
Yep.
And the biggest debate online is, well, LSU don't need to be number one. They lost to Omaha. I said Omaha. You're welcome. And I get that. And that game that they lost, if anyone actually watched it, they would see that LSU was literally a swing of the bat away from making an amazing comeback in that game and winning it. But it didn't happen. Omaha played better that day. I'm trying so hard to say that the way everybody wants to hear it. It's Omaha in my eyes. But they played really hard in that game. Omaha had them beat the whole game. And at the end, LSU made a comeback in the ninth, and it fell just short. They took their loss. They bounced back. And in just a few minutes, they'll win their 12th game in a row and earn a heat streak. And, it's been nice to see the bounce back from them. I have some concerns about the LSU team, which I will get into in a little bit. But currently tonight, rolling. It's nice to see, but right now, Tennessee is the team to beat. This weekend, they have the Florida Gators. That is the worst way to start conference play. I'm sorry, but if you're Florida, that sucks. If you're Tennessee, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, I think I'd rather get my hardest opponents out of the way early versus later in conference play. Right now, Florida's a little bit banged up. Tennessee's getting healthy. It's one of those things where it might be the right time for Tennessee to face Florida, even though Florida, if there was ever a time for them to make a statement, they did it tonight. They really showed up tonight. And it was a Johnny Holstaff event in that game, essentially, for the Florida State side. But it was just one of those games where Florida got their bats going when it mattered the most, and they executed.
And in those Johnny Holstaff games, you can't put a lot of stock into them anyway, because you're typically pitching guys that rarely see the mound on a weekend series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at last year, Florida State dominated Florida in all of their midweek games.
Absolutely.
It might be different this year. Florida dominates them, but, it's great competition. But again, you're pitching those guys that rarely pitch on the weekend in a midweek game, so not a lot you can take from that.
Absolutely. I say right now, let's get into our let's start with our rankings for the week. Got a few different polls here. Now that we're talking about the top to the bottom, there's a few teams in these rankings that have not performed as well as they should have today. But Chris, do you see any of these rankings? Do you see any teams that stick out to you and you're like, that is not a top 25 team?
Let me call it out right away. Baseball America, I love that you have Brody Johnson as the player to watch this year to earn Freshman All-America honors. However, I can't respect you putting Kentucky in the top 25. I'm not sold on what they do. So much gone from last year's team. They don't have that it factor that I look for in a top 25 team.
I mean, let's be real, though. Their TikTok dances are pretty good.
I mean, when you're sitting on a rail acting like you're riding a horse and choo-chooing a train and wearing buckets on your head, you're going to get laughed at, especially when you're losing the game 12-5 and doing that mess.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, too, is Kentucky's been consistently at 23 in Baseball America's rankings all season. They haven't really moved, which, I mean, I understand it. Okay, if you're going to have them in the preseason, Kentucky hasn't really done anything that says, hey, they need to be moved out of the rankings. If they're already in your rankings, they haven't had that kind of a weekend yet. I think that does catch up to them. I think that, Mingione found magic last year, and he's been able to piece together teams. I think this year it's going to be a little bit tougher for them because there's only so much you can do when you have limited resources. And don't get me wrong, Kentucky is able to stretch a dollar there and get some guys on board and get them going. And they have some good dudes on that team, some good pitchers. But the problem with Kentucky is the consistency. And I have yet to see real consistency out of them so far this year. Not that they have played terrible, because they have not, but they have not played good. They're kind of just in that middle range for me right now. And really, and another team I want to say that about too, though, is Georgia. I like what Georgia has, but this team reminds me so much of LSU a few seasons ago, where they'll get a lot of strikeouts, but they also allow a lot of hits, a lot of runs. And that's been the problem for Georgia this year, is they get behind early. I mean, yeah, they're able to come back, and that's great. But when you're playing inferior competition and doing that, it's going to bite you eventually when you have to step it up. And that's coming starting this weekend. So if Georgia can't get their pitching consistency down and really limit those hits and free passes, they're going to be in a bad situation by the time
Right.
we get halfway through the conference schedule. And I think Arkansas is another one. Oh, yeah, let's pause and talk about this one.
Yeah. Wanted to send a shout out to my boy Bubba. As you see, he's currently in the hospital. Had some things happen this weekend that were kind of concerning. Had some tests run. They went ahead and admitted him. Pretty sure they're going to run some more tests, get some final answers of what's going on. But wanted to give a shout out and thinking about you. Prayers are with you, brother. Hope you get well soon.
Absolutely, Bubba. We praying for you, man. We know you can make it through this. You're going to be strong. We already know you're strong, so you can push through anything, my friend. If you need anything from us, you already know we're just a message or a call away.
Yep. And to give people an introduction, Bubba is the one who me and him created the College Baseball Smack Facebook group. It was our idea. Cody was one of the first ones to join. He's been with us from the start. Between the three of us, I think we've put together a pretty solid baseball group, growing it by word of mouth, and just enjoying it. So
absolutely. Yeah, because I want to say I joined it when you had like 25 members in the group, if that.
Yeah. If you like college baseball, give College Baseball Smack a chance and check out our content. And Bubba will certainly thank you in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, before we get back to this, let's hop to a quick break real quick because we never do commercials during this for some reason, and we need to. So let's give Andrew's tattoo artist a shout real quick. All right. So definitely, if you want a tattoo, you're in the South Carolina area, give Jimbo a shout. He can get you taken care of.
So another one that sticks out to me, I see him on the D1 rankings. I see him on this other one, Stanford. That one sticks out. I think that team's going to surprise a lot of people this year. They actually took the series from North Carolina, who was ranked in the top 5 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Took the series from North Carolina this past weekend. That's a really good team out there. And they probably have one of the best young freshmen in America. And if you want to know who he is, God, I'm drawing a blank. The Shohei Ohtani, his father was his baseball coach in high school, and he broke Ohtani's home run record in Japan, had over 400 home runs in high school.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude's pretty legit. So
yeah, Rentaro Sasaki, he is one of the he's a guy to watch. He's actually kind of had a consistent yet slow start to the year. Last I saw, he had not hit his first home run yet in college, but he's been consistent. He starts at first base for him. He's been able to make some good plays overall for him. He's good at getting on base. His strikeout numbers aren't out of this world. He's really, he's in a good spot. And I think it's going to pick up for him. I really thought that he was going to have a bigger weekend against North Carolina, but Stanford, they handled business, so it really didn't matter. When everybody was hitting for Stanford, he wasn't, unfortunately. But overall, if I had to give him a grade so far, I'd give him a B+. I think he's really got a good future there ahead of him. And another thing, too, though, you got to think about is when you play in a different country and you make the transition over, you're not going to be good instantly. You have to adapt to the way people play.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter who you are. It's just that's just a way it is. And I mean, I think that when it's all said and done this year, I think he's going to be looked at highly. He probably will be an All-American at the end of the year because he is putting up good numbers to do that. But the only concern I have is that I feel like he's not talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like before the season, he does have a podcast that he does and all that. And there was some hype behind him, but you just don't see much of it now. And it's weird to me. I really thought he was going to be shoved down our throats, and it hadn't been that case. But I mean, he's a likable kid. He really is. And if you want a good taste of like that style of baseball, because West Coast baseball is so different than what you see over on the East Coast or in the SEC, ACC, all that. It's just played totally different. Really, just all the California teams are like that. And right now, it's like if you want a sample of that on the East Coast, just kind of look at LSU a little bit because Jay Johnson's bringing that West Coast approach over. And I'm liking that because his goal is to lead the league in walks and doubles. That is the mindset. And right now, we were going into today, we were tied for first in doubles in the SEC, and we were like top 3 in the conference in walks. I will take that all day. So,
but is that sustainable? And
absolutely.
the reason I ask that is because you look at the difference in Tennessee, who's jacking the ball out of every park they play in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear none of this garbage about it's a small park. No, it's not. It's not. It's not any different than any other SEC park.
It's in regulation. That's all that matters.
But you see them jacking it out left and right everywhere they play, putting up these huge offensive numbers, and just beating people to death. And you've seen over the last, since 2019, which is probably the most power Vanderbilt's ever had,
Mm-hmm.
they're more of a contact hitting team.
Yep.
And you've seen them struggle in regionals and super regionals and not be able to get the job done and get back to Omaha. So that's why I ask, is the contact method sustainable to get you to Omaha?
Sure. That's a very good point. But we will see. I mean, so far it hasn't been an issue. For example, tonight, right now it's top of the 6th. LSU's up 18-2 on Xavier, and they've got 18 hits. They had 12 hits through the first 2 innings. I love it. I mean, and that's been fun to see. And everybody's already been good. God, I cannot say I've ever seen this, but every single player has been subbed out that started today, except for Chris Stanfield in center field. I've never in my life seen that at LSU where every player gets subbed out.
You mentioned midweeks earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How much as an LSU fan do you take away from that, knowing what Xavier's been through for the past couple of weeks? They've played at Tennessee. They just got done with the weekend series at Vanderbilt, where they struck out 42 times in a weekend series. And now they don't even go home. They go straight down to Louisiana to play in Baton Rouge.
Then they go to New Orleans after this.
I mean, how much can you take against a team like that? And rest assured, Xavier's not played any they're not a lightweight team. They've played a heck of a schedule.
They played arguably, wouldn't you say? Yeah, I would say they played the hardest schedule to this point so far easily.
Yeah.
And they were 7-9 going into this game. So, I mean, that's actually impressive considering who they played.
Yeah.
And, I mean, realistically, I don't take much from this game today because, I mean, going into it, I really thought that we would probably run rule them. Just to be honest, I really did. I thought that it would just kind of be a nasty game. But they took a different approach to pitching tonight. So William Schmidt took the mound to start, and his last 2 starts, I mean, he's been extended in midweek games. But today he went 1 inning. We scored 7 runs in the first. It was a long wait. So I think it was just more of a, hey, you sat on the bench for a bit. We don't want to get you out there and mess you up. So you're good. And they just went Johnny Holstaff after that. And it was a smart approach. I don't blame him. But yeah, I don't really take much from this game. I think it was really just a good BP session for the team, which, I mean, you need that.
See Johnny talking about Alabama baseball. They're off to a great start, but you just don't know what to do with them because the competition really hasn't been great other than Jackson State. They haven't really played any tough competition yet. So
Yeah, they beat Coastal Carolina was a good win for them. NC State might have been a good win. I'm still not sure yet if it was. Ohio State was not a good win. Ohio State's looking terrible right now, unfortunately. And Auburn, I feel like, put the death knell in them. But no, Alabama, though, they do have a good team. Justin LeBron, in the most recent Baseball America MLB draft rankings, he actually is ranked to go 1-1 at this point by them, which is rightfully so. The kid is growing into his body. He's got a good bat on him. He's a good defender. I mean, you just can't complain about his style of play. He's a very good athlete. And I'm hoping that Bama is better than what they ended up doing in the past, because that's the one problem that Alabama has had, is that they'll start out the season very hot like they did this year, and then
struggle in SEC play.
Yeah, it's a downhill fall. But with a new coach, well, I mean, he's not technically new now, but essentially a new coach and a different approach, I think that maybe they can kind of skip that dip per se, and maybe finish 500 in the SEC this year, which would be, if you finish 500 this year, that's a win.
Yeah.
So
for as many teams as there are. And then we got our good friend TJ. Congratulations on the new gig, TJ. Throwing it out there to you. But yeah, in the D1 rankings, LSU's number one. Every other poll has Tennessee number one. So,
yep, and I mean, and rightfully so. I think Tennessee. We're going to learn a lot about Tennessee this weekend, though, because Florida's got really good pitching, and that is something that Tennessee has not really had to face yet this year. It's not they haven't seen good pitching, because they have, but this will be you'll get a good test for both offenses, because Florida's had a very respectable offense this year. Yeah. And you will get a good test for what you can expect out of both going forward. Now, I think that one thing that fans don't need to focus on is if both these teams have a low offensive production kind of weekend. Because let's be real, when you're facing the level of pitching that you're going to be seeing, your bats are not going to be able to do as good as normal. Now, that being said, if they do, then kudos, good job, keep it going. But you are going to see some very good pitching this weekend. And realistically, each team has a Friday and Saturday guy right now, because Florida's got an injury at pitcher. Tennessee is still finding their third starter, which is not a bad thing. I mean, they're kind of playing a Johnny Holstaff on a Sunday right now, but not really. So I think that you will see probably this weekend, if maybe it's a test. Let's see who can, show, hey, I can go against good teams and I can make it happen and become that third starter going forward, because eventually they have to find it. Now, there's a few teams in the SEC, on the other hand, that do have more than 3 starters that can go, and that's a good thing to find early. But I really am looking forward to that series. I think that you are going to see a crazy environment, for one, because every opening weekend of SEC baseball it's going to be wild anyway. The tailgates before the game and all that's going to get everybody hyped up and going. And I just think this weekend is going to be a special one to watch. I really do. I think the Tennessee-Florida series is going to be good. I think that, I think Vanderbilt-Auburn's actually going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. I think that Vanderbilt's getting hot right now. I think this was a confidence boost that they needed. It's good to get some good reps under Brody Johnston. I think we're going to learn a lot about what this Vanderbilt team is this weekend.
Yeah. Well, one thing, my personal opinion, I thought we've struggled at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at it and see, hey, they've got out of their last 10 home games, they've got 6-run rules. I mean, they're putting up some runs.
Yeah.
But you look at it and you see a guy like Braden Holcomb.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have his first home run yet. Chris Maldonado, who as a freshman led the team in doubles, starts out at first base last year, gets injured, starts the first 3 games this year at first base, and he's benched and can't get off the bench.
Yeah.
So they've got some decent hitters that haven't got started yet, and here they are putting up all these runs, and I'm like, where's this coming from? Because when you look at it, we don't have a bunch of guys hitting 3 or 400.
Yeah.
So where's all the runs coming from? Well, they're working counts and taking pitches, and it's something they haven't done in the past 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely.
And in this Auburn series, if we lose a game in that series, I think we've got the better Friday starter in J.D. Thompson. I think we've got the better Sunday starter in Cody Bowker. But that Saturday, Ethan McElvain has been struggling. He's made his longest outing so far is 3.1 innings. He's getting up there in pitch numbers, he's averaging about 80 pitches a game.
Yeah.
And only getting 3.1 innings out of it. He's struggling.
Yeah.
But,
see, and he's the one, though, I expect him to be the one that makes that step forward for you guys.
And right. And the reason I expect him to make that step forward is we've seen him do it in the past.
Absolutely.
Last year at LSU,
Mm-hmm.
coming in and throwing those shutout innings the way he did.
Lights out.
Incredible. He's got great stuff. I'm beginning to wonder if he's got some of the Kumar Rocker problem. If you remember, when Rocker was in college, the early months like February and March, he wasn't great.
Yeah.
But then as the temperature started coming up, that's when he'd start, going longer, getting 80 and 90 and 100 pitches in an outing and staying out there for 7, 8 innings.
Yep.
And it all had to do with the way he gripped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And in the colder weather, he couldn't feel the ball in his hand because his hands were so big.
That makes sense.
And I'm wondering if that ain't some of what's going on with Ethan.
Sounds like you need to get down there and talk to him and see what's going on. How crazy would that be if you have a conversation like that with him and he's like, I ain't thought about that. And then he goes out and throws like the most amazing game ever. And he's like, shout out Vandy Chris for fixing my game.
Oh, and look at there, Mr. Andrew commenting on our show. Thank you, Andrew, the host.
I was hoping the X comments worked.
The host on the Villains Media Network. We thank him for giving us a platform to do this on. Andrew, tell us about your Gamecocks in the chat and let us know what you think is going on with them boys.
I don't know if we want to talk about the Gamecocks on here. They're kind of doing like the other USC, if you catch my drift in a way.
I mean,
except they're actually winning games. But
Ethan Perry hit a moonshot the other night. I'll give.
All right, so yeah, he's good. He's fantastic. But my thing is this: why is Petrie not talked about more? It's weird that we're going into the season. This should be his swan song, and yet, outside of seeing that highlight the other night, I have not heard a word about the man.
Word.
And I mean, let's be real. He is one of the best power hitters in the country.
Yeah,
easily. But yeah, it's so weird. It's just so weird to me that he's not spoken about more. Like some of these guys, when they talk about him, I'm like, they're still in college, because it's just you just don't hear their name, and it is what it is. But I'm hoping that changes for him. But my thing with South Carolina this year so far is that I did not, and you remember preseason, I didn't have the highest of hopes for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maneri's good for getting you some wins. He is. He will do that. His approach is very old school, and it's different. And I'm interested to see what he can do with this program, because I think in terms of getting South Carolina back to the level that they used to be is possible. But the problem is
There's so much,
you have
so many other schools have gotten better over
yes,
the years.
yes. I mean, it's so my biggest thing is this. For one, Founders Park is one of the best ballparks in the nation.
Yeah,
Easily. I will
yeah,
argue that till I'm blue in the face. Um, the biggest issue that they've had is their ability to recruit has not been as strong as it has been for like it was a decade ago. A decade ago,
right.
they were getting dudes left and right. Heck, 20 years ago, they were getting dudes left and right. The early 2000s, man, South Carolina always had a good team.
Hmm.
That is the one difference that Maneri makes for this program is that man is one hell of a recruiter. Now, how good of a recruiter is he with, guys that are already in college and are looking for a new home? And the tariffs, yeah.
It's
I like
it's
that.
the tariffs effect on NIL.
There you go. But no, I think the one thing Maneri is going to do for South Carolina is I think he's going to really implement his ability to get some good players on campus. Because let's be real, when Maneri was at LSU, he brought in some very good players, and he inherited a LSU program that was not necessarily dead in the water, but they were the worst that they had been in 90% of our fans' lifetime. Because Skip Burtman set the bar so dang high. I mean, and then poor Smoke Laval. I mean, he comes in and my God. I mean, he just had a basic season and he was gone.
Yeah,
And it's not that he was a bad coach. It's just that it wasn't the right fit. And then Maneri comes in and he turned things around. He brought in some good dudes. I mean, the biggest problem he had was he would get good pieces, but he wouldn't get a good unit together. And that was his biggest problem. He likes to recruit shortstops and make them play every position on the field, which, hey, it works.
which is kind of what Tim Corbin has gotten into the past 4 or 5 years. But to his credit, he finally went out and used the transfer portal this year.
He did.
And I can tell you, looking at this team, this Vanderbilt team versus the last 2 or 3, it's different
Mm-hmm.
in terms of these guys are built, they're put together, they look like baseball players.
Yes,
They don't look like a 5'9" baseball player that should be playing shortstop or third base.
exactly.
They don't. I mean, these guys are. Braden Holcomb's 6'5" and he's playing left field.
That's just unheard of.
Brody Johnson's 6'3" playing third base.
Then you had your 4'8" Ro Coleman, who was a starter years ago.
And then over at first base, you got Nelson that came in from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Farm boy, played some JUCO ball out in New Mexico. This kid's 6'2" playing first base. I mean, these guys are built. They're put together. They look like modern day baseball players.
Absolutely. Hey, and speaking of Vanderbilt, they released a list today of 5 players that are really sticking out in spring training, and Enrique Bradfield Jr. was actually on that list, which
Okay.
does not surprise me. Trey Morgan was on it as well.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see, guys that you basically watch grow up
Yep.
on these lists. And I don't know about you, but what I've noticed through spring training is that more college guys are standing out than ever before, which is a testament of the ability of the growth of the college game in general, because it went from you're a college player to you're going to play a lot of years in the minors, probably never make it to the majors, and that's a career, go get a job, whatever. Now it's like college baseball is a semi-pro league, and especially now with NIL, it essentially is a semi-pro league, and these guys are more ready than ever. I mean, just the last few years, you've had so many guys just go right to the league essentially, and it's nice to see. my God, the fact that you see what a Paul Skeens is doing in the pros, and just to say, 2 years ago, this man was in college, that's unheard of. It scares me to even imagine what the future of baseball looks like with all these college guys that are just evolving essentially in front of our eyes.
So Nate asked a good question. Why is no one talking about Brendan Lawson? So Brendan Lawson's a freshman at Florida. He's hitting .333.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He does have 4 home runs, 19 RBIs. So the issue why you don't hear people talk about him is because you have guys like Levi Clark, you have guys like Brody Johnston. There's those 3 players right there are favored to win SEC Freshman of the Year. And then you got the guys at LSU,
Derek Curiel, who's killing it.
This freshman class is just loaded. It's not that nobody's talking about him. He's just part of a crowd that's elite right now. And you're going to have to do something extremely special to do it. When you compare him to a guy like Brody Johnston's hitting .392 and missed the first 2 weeks of the season. So, .333, .392. I know who I'm going to be talking about.
That being said, though, if he wants to get talked about, this weekend's a chance to make that happen. Definitely. But one problem, too, though, that I feel like Florida players have is that they don't get enough media attention. I know that may sound crazy. I mean, Jack Caglione, he got attention, obviously, because of who he was. But if you really, really, really think about it, he didn't get that much attention like he should have. I just feel like the media coverage towards Florida is terrible. And it's not a knock at Florida in any way. It's just that the media just does not cover them enough. I see Tennessee, I see LSU, I see Mississippi State, I see Vanderbilt, I see all these schools talked about. I never see anything out of a Kentucky. I don't see stuff hardly out of South Carolina anymore. Same with Ole Miss. I don't see it hardly out of Arkansas. I don't see it out of Florida. They don't talk about them.
Okay, there's a reason for that. And people aren't going to like the reason for that. But it's the social media team covering your baseball program.
Yeah.
If you're not putting content out there, it's not going to be picked up. So if Florida wants your players talked about, you need to upgrade the social media team. You need to upgrade the media department, because that's where it comes from. That's where it starts.
Yes, because one thing I will say is that if you're just posting, hey, our game time is tonight, and then you post your lineup card and do a couple just play-by-plays throughout the game, and then do a game-end graphic, that's one thing. But then you have teams like a LSU or a Vanderbilt that has like a behind-the-scenes. They have fun videos they do with the players so you can get to know them. They literally have – like LSU has literally a show called The Powerhouse where they literally do an inside look at the team, and they have episodes of it. I mean, there's so many things media-wise they're doing. The Jay Johnson show is starting up, I believe, either this week or next week. I mean, there's so many different facets to it, which, I mean, it is what it is, though.
And when I talk about Florida's media department not putting stuff out there, so if you remember last year, Florida came to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Cags was on a hot home run streak. I think he hit a home run in like 6 straight games coming into the series. And then he hit 2 more. I think it was 7, and then he hit 2 more, made it 9 straight games. But one of the home runs he hit was probably the second longest home run I've ever seen hit at Hawkins Field.
Mm-hmm.
The longest being the one that Brody Johnston hit the other night. Oh, my God, that was a moonshot. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. He put it off the windows of Memorial Gym. But I saw more content from Vanderbilt baseball on Cags and the home run record and the moonshot that he hit against us in that series. I saw more content about that from Vanderbilt's media department than I did Florida's.
Absolutely. So
that's why a lot of Florida players don't get talked about.
Bob Bright, who, by the way, I still need you to get out to Fullerton and get those boys in order because they're killing me. I just can't even say it enough. Like, I really need Fullerton back. I need you to fix that. But you bring up Noah Franco. Let me tell you, that kid is fantastic. I watched a lot of his tape when he was at IMG in high school. He was awesome. I want to say he went to IMG too, like early. I want to say he was like 13 or 14 when he got out there and really started growing. But no, he is lights out. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he's only thrown like 3 innings and 2 appearances, but he has like 7 or 8 strikeouts, no walks, no runs allowed. Like, I mean, the guy, he's doing fantastic on the mound, but no, his bat's really good. I think he's hitting just under 300, but he's making plays. And the future, when I say it's bright for that kid is a future first-round draft pick. I can just tell you, the way he plays and carries himself, my God, he is a stud.
Speaking of Noah Franco, and this is where Fullerton's going to run into a problem.
He plays for TCU, by the way.
TCU? Even TCU. You know, you think TCU, that's a good program. They're in the Omaha discussion year in and year out.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have enough NIL to be able to keep a guy like Noah Franco from going to an LSU or Tennessee that can give him some NIL?
I think that they will be able to produce it. And the reason I say that is because obviously the state of Texas has oil money. They got a ton of money. I mean, you look at Texas Tech, all the money they're pumping in right now. I think they will get to that point, and it shouldn't be a problem. But I feel like he's a guy that they're going to prioritize with whatever NIL money that they do allocate to the program. I think he's going to be like a top priority for them because he's a kid that you build the program around. And if you don't, then you got an issue.
Yeah.
Also, it is final in Baton Rouge. LSU wins 18-4. Go Tigers. I broke my rules for you tonight, Chris. I podcasted during an LSU baseball game. I don't do that.
But was it really an LSU baseball game when it was 18-0?
All right, I watched the LSU scrimmage today, and they made our our club baseball team wear Xavier jerseys, I guess. But no, that was a good way to close out the non-conference slate heading into conference season. I will take it. You get 18 hits in 7 innings. That's always nice. So, and then now I can go ahead and predict it now. If you go to X right now, every LSU fan is smack talking Tennessee because Tennessee didn't win 18-4 against Xavier. Guarantee you that's happening somewhere right now, and it'll pop up in my feed. I love my LSU fans so much, but man, there's some of us though out there that are
And to be fair, Tennessee didn't catch them on the heels of striking out 42 times in the weekend series.
They caught them at
another top 25 team.
Exactly. They caught them at the beginning of it. They started the downward spiral for Xavier, and now here we are. But no, it's good that it's over now. I'm ready. Now it's on to Missouri. Poor Missouri.
Yeah.
But then again, we'll even get a game this weekend with the weather that's coming through. There's no telling.
Speaking of Missouri, our friend Brad Knoll from the Hawkaholics podcast talking about Iowa getting a transfer from Mizzou, and that's the state of the Mizzou program. They get somebody in there that's a decent ball player, and they can't keep them.
Yep. Absolutely. And no, Nate, I'm with you, man. Like, I really hate that LSU and Florida aren't playing. It's happened a lot recently over the years, and it is a shame. Like when we met in the national championship, we didn't play in the regular season, and it sucks because let's be real, LSU Florida should be a rivalry like it is in football.
I mean, I could talk some smack.
I'm ready.
He'd probably rather play LSU than he would Vanderbilt since we won 3 out of 4 against them last year. And the year before we took 2 out of 4 against them and sent them packing from Hoover.
There you go. That's where you're
Just
supposed
saying.
to.
Saying.
Hey, you got to use one of your soundboard sounds on that one, though.
Shots fired. Florida don't want none of Vanderbilt.
I love it. I love it. Question on your little soundboard thing. Can you add custom sounds to it?
I don't see a button for custom.
Because if you can, we need a whistler sound on there.
Oh, if I upgrade my soundboard and get one that's got custom on it, I've already got the perfect one. And I have an update about the Whistler, both of them.
Okay. Okay.
So Jeff, the one that everybody hates because he's so loud and obnoxious, the whistle, 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 clap, clap, clap.
Yep.
So a couple of years ago, his son passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm told he's having a hard time dealing with that right now.
I'm sure.
But he has been heavily involved in the women's basketball program
Okay.
and has been he's been to every single one of their games this year.
Wow.
That's why you haven't heard him at any Vanderbilt games yet this year.
I gotcha.
That he's got that issue going on. And then Preacher, the one that we have the whistle for, he had a cap come off, and they ended up having to do an extraction and get rid of the piece that was holding the cap on, and he's waiting on a prosthetic to come in.
Okay.
He's missing a tooth right now, and he can't whistle.
Oh my gosh.
So I got to visit with him Sunday during the Xavier game Sunday afternoon. Spent 9 innings with him, chit-chatting and catching up on everything, and that's where he's at right now. He can't whistle.
I would like to get him on the show one day. We always say that, but he's one guy I think I'd like to just get his story.
Oh, he's fun. He is fun.
That's just whew. But yeah. So there was actually a record broken in baseball recently, a big record in the NAIA ranks. And I want to highlight this because I think it needs to be highlighted. Charlie Muniz, I think it's Muniz. I'm not good at pronouncing names. It is what it is. But this kid, University of the Cumberlands in Williamsburg, Kentucky, 2024 NAIA Player of the Year. When I made this graphic originally for last week, he was tied for the most home runs ever. Well, now he's surpassed it with 89 total career home runs. He has a 411 career batting average, 272 career RBIs, a 488 career on-base percentage. But this year alone, 21 games, 31 hits, 10 home runs, 32 RBIs, 13 walks, and 12 strikeouts. When you walk more than you strike out, you're pretty dang good. But, I mean, my God, like last year, 60 games, 89 hits with 36 home runs, 22 strikeouts only in 60 games. Come on now.
More smack talk.
But see, here's my question, though. These guys that are like in these NAIA ranks, why don't they ever go up to another level? Why don't they go to D1? This guy right here with a career that he's had,
he may be happy.
And very, very much could be the case. But you would have to think that someone is going to take a chance on him at the next level.
Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
More smack talk. This guy's putting up better numbers than Jack Caglione. Fight me on it.
I love the soundboard so much. All right. So now, Chris, I want to get into this segment with you.
Let's go.
Buy or sell, a.k.a. are you going to buy the hype or are you saying they're not going to do good? So, fun fact, essentially, this is my power ranking. I have the logos in that order right now of how I've seen the teams this year and where I would put them. But that's not the case for for this graphic, but that just happens to be the order that I have them in for it. But this will be the order we'll talk about them. So, we'll start at the bottom. Missouri.
Selling.
Absolutely. My question is this. Does Missouri keep their spot at 16 or does someone surprise us and overtake them for the worst spot?
Yeah, if you overtake them for the worst spot, you're probably firing coaches and have mass exodus at the end of the year.
I gotcha. So now let me ask you this. When we go to Kentucky, okay, I have Kentucky at the bottom like that at 15 just because I haven't seen enough out of them. I have not. And all right, so my question with Kentucky is this. I know, okay, buy or sell. When it gets to these teams, because I think we both already were going to agree that Missouri was a team that's not going to make the postseason. I don't see it happening. That being said, these other 15 teams, I think they all have a chance to make the postseason.
No.
I'm not going to say they're all are going to. I'm saying, but they have the ability to potentially sneak in. I'll go with that at least. Kentucky, buy or sell? If you sell, that means that you think they're either not going to make the tournament or they're at least going to be at the very bottom of the totem pole.
I'm selling on Kentucky.
Okay.
Last year was a special year for them.
Yes.
Coach Mingione built that thing the way he built it.
Mm-hmm.
He built it with third, fourth, and fifth year guys, and built it through the transfer portal. It's hard to get one-hit wonders out of that.
Sure.
But it took him 2 years to build that roster to what it was to get to Omaha.
Fair.
And then everybody's gone, and then he has to restart that process of building it back. So for this year, I'm selling. But as long as Mingione's there, if we look down the road 2 or 3 years, I could see them back in the conversation of getting Omaha.
That's fair.
But this year, I'm selling.
Okay. I like that. I think I'm going to agree with you on it because, I mean,
they lost to Lipscomb, by God.
Yeah, and that was just not a good way to start the weekend. Okay. So then now we go to South Carolina, which, by the way, I will address Andrew's comment real quick because I know that sounds crazy. It does. But here's my reasoning for Auburn ahead of South Carolina. South Carolina has not had a hard schedule this year. When they did play a hard team in a weekend series, they got swept. That is my only knock at them. That being said, when I look at Auburn, on the other hand, they have some pretty good wins, okay? So they have some stupid losses as well. But the one thing that Auburn has done that South Carolina has not done is Auburn, they blanked Ohio State, who has ended up not being that great, but they also defeated Oregon State and Baylor. Baylor's on the up and up. That is going to be a tournament team this year. Oregon State is arguably going to be a top 8 seed this year. Arguably. I'm not going to say they are, but I'm going to say arguably. They'll at least be I would say at least a top 16 seed, at least a host. Worst case scenario, a 2 seed. So that is the reason I have Auburn ahead of South Carolina as of right now. And let me explain. When I do a power ranking like this, that doesn't mean that I think X team is better than the other team. It's just what I've seen so far, and I just piece it together. It doesn't mean that's my future outlook on them. So Nate says, who's more likely to get back to Omaha, Texas or Oklahoma? Texas is on the up and up because Schloss, let's be real. I mean, he's been successful everywhere he's been, and he's going to get that program where they need to be again. They will be back in Omaha, but I think that Oklahoma will get back there before they do. Because Oklahoma's starting trio of pitchers is great. Cam Johnson's growing and growing and growing and getting better each week. The Witherspoon twins are fantastic. Hard to deny that Oklahoma team with what they've done.
You did it again.
I do everything again.
Omaha. Stop.
I can't. All right, so South Carolina, you buying or selling?
I think I'm going to buy this year.
Okay.
They have a dude in Ethan Petrie that any given weekend can be the best player on the field.
Sure.
I don't see that with Auburn. I don't see Auburn having that kind of guy. So I would put South Carolina ahead of Auburn.
Okay.
Because of Ethan Petrie. But I think I'm buying South Carolina.
I like that. I'm going to sell South Carolina in terms of success, but I think they make the tournament. So my problem is it's like a bad breakup. I don't trust Paul Maneri. I can't. And he has to prove me wrong because, all right. And this is going to sound really weird, but if you lead my team to a national championship and you fell in the national championship, you're a failure in my eyes.
Oh, stop it.
I know it sounds crazy, but it's true to me. Like it is what it is. Like No, like 2017, LSU makes the national championship. They play Florida. Florida wins, makes me absolutely sick. And the reason Florida won was because LSU exhausted their arms. We had no arms left. And when it came to the finals,
LSU shouldn't have been there in 2018, to be honest.
I mean, we made it. That's all that mattered.
The idea that LSU was better than Oregon State that year is just super crazy. As Andrew would say, super crazy.
I mean, we had to beat them to get there. And of course, it would be one of our guys who was very good at pitching starting his career that went through some arm issues. And then when he came back, he had the game of his life against Oregon State. And I was not complaining at all. It was fantastic. But it is what it is. That's just kind of how I am. That being said, we go to Auburn. And before I ask you your buy or sell, one thing I want to point out about Auburn is they are actually a very young offensive team. They have veterans, don't get me wrong, and some very good veterans, but they have some young dudes that are making an impact for them. So are you buying or selling this team?
I'm going to sell on Auburn, but I do think they're greatly improved from last year. But I'm looking at this SEC, Tennessee, LSU, Florida, Oklahoma's been playing great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Arkansas is? They're going to win a lot of games. Are they going to be able to win in Omaha? Probably not, because of the way they're built. You got Texas. You got Ole Miss, who's on a resurgence tour this year. You got Georgia, arguably some of the best arms in the SEC, even if they haven't proven it yet.
Sure.
Mississippi State, who's still crawling back up to where they were 3 or 4 years ago. Vanderbilt, NCAA's longest postseason streak running right now at 18 straight years in the regional. Alabama, I mean, it could come down to Alabama and Auburn as the last team in from the SEC.
Sure.
Alabama's got LeBron. Auburn doesn't.
Exactly.
So
they have Ike Irish, who is very good.
How they're going to get to the postseason, I don't know, based on what we have before us. So I have to sell on Auburn.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to sell Auburn as well. I think that Auburn is a up and coming team. I think the program is going to get in the right spot, but I think that they don't have enough of they don't have the dudes, I don't think yet, or at least the dudes haven't grown to where they need to be to get them there yet. They have some talent, they do, but it's just one of those things where, okay, Samuel Dutton, who is their starting pitcher, I respect the kid so much. He's from the state of Alabama. He pitched at LSU the last few years, and he has all the talent in the world. I mean, when he was a prep player, I mean, he was dominating the state of Alabama. His issue at LSU was free passes, but he's one of those guys, I feel like his pitching is very predictable. And like I was telling you before the show, I think that, he may get a couple batters full, but then they're going to catch on quickly to what he's doing, and then he's going to get lit up. It happens. So I'm going to sell on Auburn for right now, but I think that is a team to invest in the future because they are going to invest in that program. But now we move on to a team that should not be this low in a power ranking, Texas A&M, who has had a very unfortunate start to the season, not just in the wins and loss column, but also in the personnel column because, I mean, let's be real. They've already had their backs against the walls multiple times this year. They have a first-year coach. They've had to deal with losing 2 really good players to injuries, and you will get one back. The other one you will not. They're sitting at like 9-6, maybe 10-6 after today. I'm not sure if they won or not, but they did. Okay, so 10-6 going in the SEC play. This team was preseason number 1, and I get it. On paper, that team looks great. They should be a great team. They have great pitching, but it just has not come together for them this year. And I'm thinking that it's going to change. What's up, Terry? How you doing, brother? Hey, Terry, I need a burger tonight created, but I need it to be based on in the spirit of conference play. So I need you to come up with a concept of a ballpark burger. I think that's a fair take right there.
Honoring the start of conference baseball play.
Yes. My God, that would be a messy burger if he does what I think he's going to do with it. But no, but Texas A&M though. Let me ask: are you going to buy or sell into this program?
So I'm going to buy that they make the tournament.
Yes.
I'm going to buy that the program is headed in the right direction.
Okay.
That said, I don't know what exactly we're going to get from them. Okay. When we did our preseason rankings, I did not put Texas A&M at number 1. While I viewed their roster as being the most talented in the country, without question, I had questions if Coach Early was going to be able to get the same production out of those guys that Schloss did.
Yeah.
And what we've seen, Caden Sorrell has not played yet. And it was just announced on Sunday that he's getting another MRI this week on his hamstring.
Oh, man.
So who knows if he's going to be back even for the SEC opener this weekend. So far, the best he's been able to get up to is 75% in his running drills.
Yeah.
So how long is he going to be out?
Yeah.
What kind of effect does that have? And then you lose a guy like Grahoviak, who obviously was everybody's preseason player of the year.
Yeah.
You lose him for the season. What kind of effect does that have long term?
Absolutely.
So while I do think they get in the tournament, and I'm buying that they get in, and that they're headed in the right direction, this specific season I don't think is going to look anything like last year did because of the new coach and trying. Is he able to get it all out of the guys the way Schlossnagle did, and with all of the injuries that are piling up, what's the path to win an SEC championship with all the injuries? Now, Granted, you still have guys like Caden Kent, one of the best hitters in the game. You got guys like that can do it, but is Caden Kent ready to step into the leadership role that Grahoviak or Sorrell should be playing? Or is it going to be a wait and see, like, I'm doing this, but I can't be a vocal leader. I'm just going to lead by example.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think I'm also going to buy into A&M. I think that they are going to get it right. I think they're going to be one of those teams that kind of like what you saw at LSU last year. They started out conference play just atrocious. I mean, it was embarrassing to see. It was probably one of the worst starts in conference play I have ever seen an LSU team go through. And I think that for A&M, I mean, they have Alabama this weekend, which is that's an interesting series to say the least. But I think that, a couple things to really think about in all this is the fact that while they've lost these players and all that, it's not like these guys, when they're hurt, they're gone. They're still part of the program. So they're still bought in. They're still involved. They're playing their vocal piece or whatever. They're helping build this team. And I think that the one thing that maybe the media didn't think about and the fan bases didn't think about was the fact that, hey, we have a situation of, we have a first year coach that the players wanted, which makes that nice. But when you have a first year coach, I mean, let's be real for a minute. It's a situation of, hey, you can't guarantee that it's all going to come together instantly. And that's been the situation here. And I really I was concerned at first, but the more I think about it, I think as this year goes on and everything just keeps happening, I think it's going to be a situation where you see this team really come together and just get it done the right way. And I think that when it's all said and done, come postseason, I think Texas A&M is going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the country. Do I think they're going to be a top 8 seed? Probably not. But I think that they have the potential to still be a host.
And speaking of Caden Sorrell,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Early did give an update in tonight's postgame press conference. I'll read you exactly what he had to say about it. Caden is definitely healing, but I still think we are a few weeks away. He is healing and progressing, but not as quickly as he or we would like for that to be happening. That was after today's MRI. He had the MRI today. So you can't miss 3 or 4 weeks of SEC play and just jump right back into it and pick up where you left off last year.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Let's see here. All right. Oh my God.
You fixing to do what I'm doing, ain't you?
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and do it.
I got to find where he commented at. I don't know where he commented at.
It might be on my page.
No, not on yours. I have no idea where he commented at. I don't see it. I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it. It won't let me copy it.
Huh. Oh, good. Oh, the college sports page.
I clicked. I've looked. It won't show me all the comments.
All right, I'm gonna generate it real quick if I can. Hold on. But anyway, while we're doing that, let's talk about Alabama. What do you see in them?
It's a good question because I really don't know what to think about Alabama. They looked really good against a solid Jackson State team, but again, this is where are they going to find the wins at in SEC play to get them in the tournament? So, one thing we've always seen with Alabama, they start out non-conference, they look great, and once SEC play comes in, they're hovering around 8, 10, 12 wins.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to sell on them this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I just like I believe in them. I do. I think that they're going to be a. I think they're going to be a fine team this year. I think LeBron's going to lead them when it matters the most. But just it's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, can you buy the hype? Are they going to be good? Are they just going to kind of let you down? All right. Yeah, this for some reason is not wanting to generate. Let's see. Come on, you stupid thing.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What you got? Yeah, mine's not working at all.
This will be fun. This will be fun. Okay, so what do we got here? And we have an image of what this thing might look like. Check her out. Terry, thank you for the delicious looking burger. That's a heart attack on a plate. Cody.
Oh my gosh.
That's a heart attack on a plate.
It really is.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh.
You notice
That makes my stomach hurt just looking at that.
you notice the one image has Crackers Coke.
Oh, I think crackers will be eating that, to be honest.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Why is this doing this? So every time I try to look up something, it literally just freezes.
So what are you trying to look up?
So I am looking up, well, a couple things actually. So I am trying to get update on the scores. Okay, finally, I have the update now. Okay. I was trying to see what the final of the Florida State was. I knew that it ended. I just didn't know what the final was, and I could not get my phone to load. It kept freezing. And now we're good. So
Last I saw it was 6-1.
it's 7-2 was the final. And then let's see here.
Are we going to finish this buy or sell? Or are we going to do a score update?
What's that?
Are we going to finish our buy and sell?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We get sidetracked from time to time. That burger threw me off so bad. It's not even
Right.
funny. It just sounds so good. No, let's go back to the buy and sell. We'll get scores later. Vanderbilt. I already know your answer.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Obviously, I'm going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
18 straight years in the NCAA tournament. Goes to 19 this year. I saw some interesting numbers about pitching, and it threw me off when I first saw it. But let me pull it up here and read you some of these numbers. So I've been blessed with some of the best sports data when it comes to college baseball. And I think it's absolutely incredible what our beat writer Aria Gerson does.
Oh, for sure. She's awesome.
So there's a metric that's used in college baseball to look at pitching. And it's one of the best metrics to use. I don't even know what it's called. But you go strikeout minus walk rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a predictive an environment where there's so much variance between defense, park factors, and weather. The top 15 teams with at least a 20% strike to ball ratio after week 4.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's at 30.4%. Florida's at 26.8%. Now, granted, those two haven't played the level of competition that Vanderbilt has.
Sure.
Vanderbilt, 25.3%, third in the country.
Okay.
Wake Forest, 24.6.
Okay.
Mississippi State, 24.5. And it goes on down. When you have pitching like that throws 25% strikes to balls, or has a 25% strike ratio, that's absolutely nuts. And then you have Florida and Tennessee above them. So arms are going to get us there. We finally have some power in our bats, but they haven't started clicking yet. But I feel like when the temperature heats up, the bats will get going.
That's fair.
That said, do I think they're one of the best teams in the SEC? They're not going to finish ahead of the Tennessee, the LSU, maybe even Texas. Arkansas, we know what they do. We get them next weekend after Auburn. But I think they're one of the top 5 teams in the SEC. And if you're top 5 in the SEC, you've got a pretty good baseball team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm buying on them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm buying Vanderbilt as well. And the reason I'm buying on Vanderbilt is because I believe with Corbin executing in the portal the way he did, the incoming freshmen, the way that they're playing, Brody Johnson obviously is going to be a first-team All-SEC freshman when it's all said and done this year. I don't, unless something happens, but I don't see anything happening that would prevent that. I think that the arms are going to come together because the arms are there. But I think McIlvain, I think he's going to get it together. I think he's going to find his way, and he's going to become that dominant pitcher that we all know that he can be and is. So I am buying Vanderbilt. That being said, I'm still not sold on the idea of them making it past the Supers this year. And that's not a knock to them. I feel that unfortunately over the last few years, Vanderbilt's kind of just – they've made a little bit of a dip in who they are, and they're just kind of just leveling out. and they haven't really done anything to go way low or way high. They're just kind of just straight line right now with their program. And I feel that it has the potential to go up, but it just depends on if Corbin is going to continue to play ball per se, like he did in this past off season. Does he like the NIL side of things? I guess is my big question.
So here's one thing I want to see. Okay. We have a senior playing shortstop, Jonathan Vastine.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting 230.
Okay.
Batting ninth in the lineup. He was our leadoff hitter last year. Hit over 300.
Yeah.
So
he's got to heat up.
So what I think is going to end up happening, Brody Johnson's currently playing third. I think he moves over to short. I think he's a shortstop of the future. And then at third base, I think you bring in the guy that played third base in the summer leagues and lit it up.
Yeah.
Braden Holcomb.
I gotcha.
Then you find somebody else to stick out in left field.
Okay.
J.D. Rogers, for example.
Makes sense.
So you've got to find that combination because you can't have that bat in the lineup. Granted, he's one of the best defensive players in America. But when you got a guy batting first in R.J. Austin that's hitting 420 right now, if you ain't putting people on the base in front of him,
that 420 means nothing.
Jonathan Vastine, it doesn't mean anything. Right. So you've got to fix that spot in your lineup. And I think that's the fix going forward is move Johnston over to short, Holcomb to third, and then stick somebody like J.D. Rogers, who's shown that he has power, and stick him in left field.
Okay.
So there are fixes. And for me, we got guys that started last year that are sitting on the bench and can't get any playing time. So that tells me this team is vastly improved from last year.
For sure. All right. So to speed through this a little bit, I'm going to combine some teams. So we'll do this one real quick. The state of Mississippi. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Are they ready to bounce back into the spotlight, or are they stuck?
I'm selling on State, buying on Ole Miss.
It's funny you say that because I fully agree with that statement.
I just don't get the feeling from State this year that they're a contender to get to the postseason.
I will say if the team played the way that the fans felt about them, that team would never lose a game again.
Right.
Because my God, are they high on their team, and I love it. And that's the one thing I like about State fans. Obviously, Mississippi State's a rivalry of LSU, but their fans are second to none. They're just great people. I love conversating with them. They're always fun to be around. And really, same with Ole Miss fans in baseball. They're great to be around. But I think Ole Miss, and we talked about this in the chat, Ole Miss is really, they've stepped it up this year. They've really made some statements. I mean, they had a loss here and there, but overall, though, they've made some really big statements this year. Had they not lost Andrew Fisher and Liam Doyle in the portal, my God, this team might be undefeated right now. Like they're just they had that kind of potential. But unfortunately, those two players wanted to, step their games up per se, and they made both of it clear. Okay, that sound your microphone just literally sounded like you crapped your pants and coughed. That was the funniest sound I've ever heard on this show. It's like it was clear it was your microphone though. But no, I just they made the right choices by leaving, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm with you. Buy Ole Miss, sell State. Georgia and Arkansas, kind of similar type of teams, but also very different. Georgia puts up a lot of runs while their pitching is good, but yet allows a lot of runs. When you have Arkansas, on the other hand, where their pitching has the potential and is pretty good, and it holds, low scoring games, but their offense, when they play inferior competition, they're fine. But when they play a step up in competition, it's like their bats become like just frozen and they don't work anymore. They have the talent there. What the hell is missing with this program to get them to the next level? Because something is missing. And I can't hate on Van Horn like that much. I mean, because the man's been consistent.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and do your belt sound or your gun sound, because I know something like that's coming.
As long as Dave Van Horn is at Arkansas, they'll never win a national championship. I said what I said.
I agree.
He's proven it time and time again. You know what's going to happen with Arkansas this year?
Get to a super and fizzle out.
They're going to lead the SEC in doubles and extra base hits with less than 30 home runs as a team. Can't put no runs on the board because they can't develop a power hitter.
Yeah.
They're going to lose a starting pitcher to injury. Gage Wood has already been injured once this year.
Mm-hmm.
It happens every single year. Every single year. They lose a pitcher and they can't hit.
Absolutely. And hey, and Jim agrees right here. Boom. They do have a hell of a schedule in the conference this year. It is a shame.
I'm buying them. I think they get in the tournament. I just don't think they're an Omaha quality team.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. And obviously, I dislike Arkansas anyway. Always have. Their fans are, well, Jim, he'll agree with me. Their fans are not the best overall group. I mean, they have their good. Don't get me wrong. Arkansas has some very good people in their fan base, but they also have some real stinkers out there. That'll be my appropriate comments to say on that. And Jim laughing, he knows what's up.
Yeah,
like,
we all know what's up.
Yeah. Texas and Oklahoma, the newcomers to the SEC, two teams with a ton of promise. Which honestly, when the announcement was made that Oklahoma and Texas were coming to the SEC, I was excited for the baseball side of it. Football, sure, it's a perk. But baseball, on the other hand, it really steps it up. And that's why this conference this year is even scarier, because you have a blue blood in Texas and a new blood in Oklahoma. For God's sakes, Oklahoma fans, step your game up and get to the games and support these boys, because you have a special team on your campus right now. And the Witherspoon twins, you have Cam Johnson, who is fantastic. And it's just, I mean, it's unheard of. And yet, like Jim says right there, baseball, it took away LSU and Ole Miss playing each other, which is so stupid, because LSU Ole Miss is one of the best, I will call that one a
Beer
rivalry.
showers for everybody.
Yes, it is. It was just a hell of a time. It's a good weekend. The fans are classy on both sides. They're fun to be around. It's just a party all around. I mean, my God, Mike Bianco played at LSU, for God's sakes. The story is written on the wall. Let the series continue.
Yes.
But when it comes to Oklahoma, though, I need to see their fans step it up for them this year. They deserve it. Cam Johnson, he came from LSU. He's had his moments this year where he's struggled a tad, but nothing that was concerning. It was, offered some free passes, but the way that he pitches, his style of pitching is different. And he's one of the ones, like, he doesn't just throw it over the plate for you. He's one that he likes to find corners, and he does his stuff and the ball moves. And getting used, I guess, to the way that college umpires work are different from him, because, see, when he was in high school, I mean, my God, everybody was swinging a miss. And like Jim says, 100 miles an hour from the left side, it can't be ignored. It can't be, because it's unheard of. And I was super high on the kid coming out of high school, and I still am high on him. And that's the biggest transitional problem, though, is his high speed. When you're in high school, you're going to swing at that regardless, because you don't know where that ball is going to go, but you're going to swing at it probably because it's intimidating. When you get to college, these guys are more in tune with being more patient at the plate, per se, and it makes a pitcher have to work. And once he finds his full rhythm, he is going to be very dangerous, and he's getting to that point. His most recent start, he was looking very good. All season, he's shown the signs of flashing that he needs to show. And I look forward to seeing how he grows, because that kid is beyond talented. and has nothing. The sky's the limit for him. The only thing holding back is himself, and I don't see that happening. I see him as being a kid that's going to really get his mind right and keep going forward. And when you're pitching with the Witherspoon twins, those kids are just freaks in nature anyway. So I mean, it helps. It makes you better, and I think that's going to help him. But I'm buying on both of these teams. I think Oklahoma can be an Omaha team this year. Texas could be. I don't think they will be though. I just don't think they have enough to get them there. I think they're a very talented roster, but there's just when you look at the top teams in the country this year, at least what we think are the top teams in the country anyway, I just don't see Texas as being one of those ones that I'm going to mention as being there at the end. But they could, and they could be. I could be 100% wrong. And I'm just a guy talking about baseball online, so I don't know. But I'm not buying Texas yet. But they do make the postseason and probably make a super for sure. But in terms of like buying in and saying this is a team that's going to the end, not yet.
So I'm going to buy on both of them. I think they both have super regional qualities. And given the right matchups, both could be in Omaha. I think they're both that good. But again, with both of them, what's it look like when you start playing the Tennessees, the LSUs, the Floridas, the Vanderbilts, the Arkansas? What's it look like?
Mm-hmm.
So far, what we've seen out of Oklahoma has been very, very good.
Yep.
But let me address something that you brought up. Oklahoma fans.
Mm-hmm.
Your team was in the College World Series Championship Series 3 years ago, 2022, against Ole Miss. How in the hell can you only draw 800 fans to your stadium? That's unacceptable in the SEC. I have heard that Oklahoma's putting some money into their baseball stadium for refurbishments. They need to. Because as it is currently, I don't think it's one of the top 10 facilities in the SEC. And with the history that Oklahoma's got in baseball, it should be.
Agreed. 100% agree.
Oklahoma fans, get off your asses and get to the games and watch these boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Jim Cross will agree with us that your fan base has been very disappointing this year.
That being said, our friend from the Sports Bites podcast, Chris Joseph, who I'm so ready to hear him back on the air soon. Me and him, we text all the time about Oklahoma baseball in general. Well, baseball in general, but Oklahoma baseball a lot because he follows it heavily this year. And I'm actually going to try to go with him out to Tuscaloosa for a game because why not? And but I like seeing the newer teams to the SEC. I like to see how their fan base operates. And man, Chris Joseph makes me like Oklahoma fans. Tim Bailey does too. I can't lie. I got a soft spot for those guys, I guess.
There's a hot one.
Whew.
Okay.
But to be honest though, seeing those 10, I can't really argue that.
It's hard to argue against that.
It really is. And the way, and you think about it too, the way the rankings are lining up, this is not out of the question. Oh, absolutely, Brad. Please, by all means, join us. We would love that. Absolutely.
So Terry asked when we're going to give some love to the Big Ten. Stay tuned. It's coming shortly. We got something going on with the Big Ten in just a minute.
We do?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what? All right. The Florida Gators. All right. I think we're both buying on this team. I don't think there's a question about that. They're a good team. They're going to make it to the end. They really are. And, going into the season, I was not high on Florida at all, actually. I really thought this is a down year for them.
Yep.
And so far, they've proven me wrong. Tonight's win over Florida State, that's a big, big step for them. Dealing with injuries right now, if they get all their guys back, I know they've lost one for the season, but they can get some guys back, get everything together, they're going to be fine. But right now, the biggest problem that Florida has is, are they going to be able to remain consistent with this? How are they going to handle going to Knoxville this weekend? Are they going to go in and just drop an egg and lose 2 or 3 or get swept, or are they going to make a statement? Because I feel that if this team doesn't make some sort of statement this weekend, even if that means losing the first 2 and then dominating game 3, you got to have some kind of positive to take from the series to get this team really rolling, especially when you're having to, shuffle guys around because of injuries like they're doing currently. Right now, this is a wounded Gator going into Knoxville, and Tennessee's getting healthy. So you're going to see it, a tell of 2 different teams meeting each other. But with Florida, though, it's like their potential versus what's reality could be 2 different things for them. We don't know yet because I was not extremely high on them going into this season, but they're winning me over week after week with what they're doing on the field. So do I think Florida could go to Omaha this year and wreak some havoc? Absolutely. Do I think they can win it all? No, I don't.
Fair take. I was not high on Florida either. You don't lose the best player off a team that probably shouldn't have made the tournament last year and get better. That just blows my mind that they've gotten better, but they have.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Danae brings to the team. That's a solid bat.
Mm-hmm.
But losing Pierce Capola,
mm-hmm.
that's going to hurt their pitching staff.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that he can come back. They haven't really given an update, but at least I haven't seen it.
The latest update I saw, I think Coach Sullivan said something this weekend about it's not been looking good for him. So whatever that means, if you can read into his statement.
If you say that, that's saying something.
Yeah.
All right, so now we go to the top 2, LSU and Tennessee. Chris, let me hear you about LSU, then I'm going to give my spiel.
Solid baseball team. I'm not sold on the pitching yet. They've been good so far. But what's it look like when you start running into SEC teams that can hit?
Sure.
When a team like Arkansas can string together 3 or 4 doubles,
mm-hmm.
or a team like Tennessee can string together 2 or 3 base hits and then jack a bomb on you.
Yeah.
What's your pitching going to look like when they start facing those guys?
Sure.
That's the one knock I have on LSU and Tennessee right now is the level of competition. I feel like it's inflated their numbers a little bit. But I do think they're both in the top 3 or 4 of the country right now.
Sure. So with me on LSU, obviously I'm buying in. I'm buying in every year. Even if they go 0-56, I'm still bought in. But with this team, though, the one thing I will say about this team versus any other team Jay Johnson has ever coached, this is probably the best defensive team that he has ever put on the field. Those guys can make some plays, and it makes me happy to see. One thing that we have been witnessing this year, which is it kind of shocked me, but not really, because preseason Michael Braswell was actually interviewed a lot. Like he was looked at as a leader on the team, which he's still a leader on the team. But, the way he was talked to, it's like, okay, this is an everyday player, all that. He lost a spot. And he was a starting third baseman to start the year. Now we have JUCO transfer Tanner Reeves that's taken over, and he hadn't stopped. He had a grand slam tonight. Like the guy's just putting the bat on the ball like crazy. The crazy thing about Tanner Reeves, though, is the fact that he was committed to come to LSU 2 seasons ago and opted to stay another year in JUCO before bouncing up and led his team to the College World Series in JUCO last year. Kid's good. He's very good on the corner. He's got a good bat on him. He's shown he can be consistent, and I'm liking what I see. Obviously, Stephen Milam going from second base to shortstop has been just amazing when you have Daniel Dickinson at second. That combination in the middle is special. Obviously, you have Bear Jones at first base, who is one of the best power hitters in the entire country, but he's changed his game. So he had this problem the last few seasons, or a couple of seasons, because it's his 3rd year now, that he would strike out a lot. that he was swinging it a lot. He didn't have really a lot of patience. He was trying to hit a home run every at bat. He changed his mindset going into this year, and I really like what I see because he turned down some money from the draft last year because he was draft eligible as a sophomore, and I think that opened his eyes a little bit and kind of gave him an idea of, hey, this is how they see me, but here's where I want to be. And this year has been a complete opposite situation. He doesn't strike out a lot. He's getting a lot of hits, but he's changing his game. I mean, his defense has always been really good, but he does hit the long ball still, but he's putting up doubles. He's hitting singles. But here's the craziest thing. Did you know that he leads LSU in stolen bases this year?
Interesting.
Him being as big as he is, it's weird.
Remember Spencer Jones?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Was second on the team in stolen bases behind Enrique Bradfield Jr., and this dude's 6'7".
Yeah.
Power hitter at that. So
exactly. And one thing too about Jared though is that not only is his hitting, getting to like a special level, I mean, he's getting comparisons of like Mark McGwire now by people. And I see it though. The way he swings the bat, it's ridiculous. Like, I kid you not, on Sunday, he hit a home run to opposite field, right? And this ball looked like a routine fly ball that was going to go foul. That sucker carried. Like, he stood in the box because he thought it was going foul, and it just didn't look like it was much. I have never seen a baseball carry the way that one did. It was special. But he just has power at all areas of the ballpark, and it's scary.
I mean, I saw the home run you're talking about. When you hit a ball with a launch angle of 43 degrees, it's going to fly a long way.
Yes.
Now, I do have to say something about 11.7. Guys, stop it. You're going to tweet out, I've never seen a guy hit a 43-degree angle launch home run, when just last Wednesday, there was a guy that hit one at a 44-degree launch angle that's been the longest ball ever hit at Hawkins Field.
That was a bomb, too.
I mean, come on, 11.7. Get it right.
Yeah. But no, looking at other aspects, though, you go to the outfield, though. I mean, you got Curiel out there who's killing it as a freshman. The dude is like literally, I'm going to call him an artist because he draws so many walks. It's ridiculous. At the leadoff spot, he is killing it. Like, I'm talking about, yeah, but the way he's doing it is just amazing. Like, I've never seen a freshman look like this before. And I witnessed the Antoine Duplantis era, and that kid was a stud freshman. What he's doing as a freshman is like Dylan Cruz level. And that's good. And but he's doing great. And the pitching, though, here's the one thing about the pitching that I like right now. LSU has something that I have never seen them have in this, like, at least in 20 years, is that they have more than 3 starters that can get it done. That doesn't happen for LSU anymore. Usually it's 2 starters, then you have to Johnny Holstaff it.
But again, quality of opposition matters.
No, you're right. You are right.
When you're not playing anybody, it looks like you have something more than what you have.
So here's my argument to that, though. So you have your 3 weekend starters who did face some good opposition one weekend already, where we had to play, like the Nebraska's, K-State, whatever. But
what's Nebraska?
I know Nebraska. I mean, they beat Vanderbilt.
They got a 1 win over Vanderbilt, and since then they've been dog ass.
No, you're right, but I'm saying like an upping in competition, though. But here's the thing, though. One of our outside of our starting 3 from the weekend faced DBU and shut them down. That is promising.
Oral Roberts did the same thing.
Oh, great. But I'm just saying, but it's good. But it is good to see that you have guys that can prove they can do that.
True.
But I will say, though, I do have concerns about the pitching staff. For sure, I have concerns. So I really like what Cade Anderson's doing. He's a very good lefty. He gets the job done as the Friday night guy. He is a very consistent pitcher that he struggled when he had to go like deeper into his pitch count. Like you could tell he got tired a few weeks ago, and it was weird to see because he was dominant, and then it's just like it just changed after an inning. It was very bizarre. But the next week he came out and it was completely shut down, and he lasted longer, and he had that energy that he needed. It was good to see. Anthony Ianson, on the other hand, he gets lit up against Nebraska, or was it K-State? No, it was Nebraska. Yeah, it was Nebraska, like early in the game. And then next thing you know, he just lights out for the rest of his outing. And then this past weekend, he throws 15 strikeouts. Like, he's finding his groove. Chase Shores, he's back from Tommy John. He's still finding his way, finding his pitch. People are making contact with him more than you would want, but he's good at finding his way out of jams. And I like that about him. But then when you get to the bullpen, you have some really good guys, but then you have some guys that started good that are kind of struggling right now. And one of the guys that I need to see some more consistency out of is Maverick Rizzi. He's a freshman pitcher that is beyond talented. He's 6'9", 6'10", and his fastball is like high 90s, and he's good, but he's just had an issue finding the zone the last couple of weeks, and it's been strange because start of the season, he was pounding the zone. So I don't know what happened there, but he pitched tonight, did fine. He got through it. It's good. William Schmidt, who was a guest on our show, he's doing great. I love everything that kid has done this year. I have zero complaints. I think the only complaint is get more consistency in the breaking ball, which it's not even inconsistent. It's just if I had to pick a thing, that would be it, because he's got a 3,000 plus RPM rate to his curveball. It's ungodly. But no, I like this team a lot. I've said it previously. I'll say it again. This team is more talented than 2023 LSU. I fully am willing to die on that hill. But I love this team, and I genuinely believe that they have the talent that could lead them to the end with a win, if that makes sense. That said, Tennessee Volunteers, I believe in this team. They have won me over this year. But the big but of this, will they look good against good competition? And I mean, and the same can be asked about LSU. It can be asked about Florida, all those teams. It can be. But how is Tennessee going to bounce back should they get down by 3 runs to a Florida team this weekend? Do they have what it takes to battle back when their back's against the wall? That is my biggest question for Tennessee. That's not a knock at them in any way, because I believe in them. I think they're a great team. I think they're going to Omaha. I think they could win it all again. They have that kind of talent. But are they actually that team, or have we been fooled this whole time and they played, they've fooled us basically, and they're going to get exposed. Like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I believe that they have a squad that can go far.
That's fair. For me, you got dudes like Hunter Ensley, Cannon Peebles, guys that have been there before. I have no doubt if they got behind a Florida or a LSU or somebody of that nature, 3 or 4 runs, I have no doubt they have the ability to come back and the mentality to do it. My concern with them is the level of competition. I think some of their numbers are inflated. I'm not going to say it's easy to hit home runs, but when you're facing the quality of pitching that they've faced, you're going to hit a lot of home runs. That's just the way it is. What I'm waiting to see on this team, AJ Russell.
Yep.
How does he look going forward coming back from the injury? So far, he's been good, but it's been limited exposure so far.
Sure.
Marcus Phillips. What does he do when he starts getting some miles on the arm?
Mm-hmm.
I believe Tennessee is a legit threat to win it all.
Sure.
I hate to say that because I hate Tennessee with a passion.
Of course. You're supposed to.
But I'm also a realist. I know that they're a very good baseball team.
Yep.
So I'm buying because I think they're a threat to win it all.
I like that. Andrew says Tennessee's going to choke. I like the way you think.
And they might.
They very well may. But hey, there's only one way to find out. You got to play the games. That being said, you smell that?
Yeah. Kind of smells yucky a little bit.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the Dirty Jock Strap. So here's the thing, though. Before we go into this, I'll let you know, Chris, just so you're ready for it. I am doing the last 2 Dirty Jock Straps and last 2 Golden Brooms because we got to give the love and the hate to the teams that really deserve it. Okay?
Fair.
So the first one is going to go to the team from 2 weeks ago. And I don't really have any details put on these jock straps, so we'll just freehand it and go from there. But the first recipient of the Golden Jock Strap, let me just say I'm beyond proud of this image. Beyond proud. Texas A&M, baby.
That was a pretty ugly week they put together.
I mean, it's been ugly for them all season, unfortunately, so far. They haven't done anything that makes anyone say, oh, that is the number 1 team in the country. Unfortunately, it hadn't worked out for them. Any chance I have to take a knock at their Yale team, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I did this. And I thought it was hilarious. If it offends you, good, because that was the intentions behind it. But no, A&M got the jock strap from 2 weeks ago. They lost to New Mexico State over the weekend, so that kind of made me want to – that's actually the reason I left it in here to go ahead and highlight it this week because of that. But, yeah, A&M, they got to get it together. But this week, USC Trojans, team that looked like they were on the up and up, looked like they were ready to bounce back, ready to get it done, do things right. And they're playing like a team that doesn't have a ballpark.
So it's funny that on our Jock Strap Award, if there's a little yellow stain right in the crotch. And I'll tell you why I find that funny. Last week, USC had an opportunity to show that they had a little bit of metal to them. You know, playing UCSB and then a 3-game stint with Oregon. At least win one of those games.
Yes.
Just one. Show that you have some metal about you. Instead, they peed all the way down their leg. Filled not only did they fill up their jock, but they filled up their sock too.
Yeah, they did.
Come on, man. Do better. If you want to be taken serious and get into the postseason, you can't go 0-4 in those games and say that you're a good team. Even if you go 1-3, you won at least one game against good competition.
Absolutely.
So I think it's well deserved. They peed right down their leg and had a golden opportunity on their you notice I said golden, right? They had a golden opportunity to show something, and they failed.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate. I'm looking up right now to see what they're doing right now. So let's see. I know they're playing Cal State Fullerton tonight. And I'm sure that Terry loves this, us talking smack about USC right now.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it is final. Grand Canyon did beat Oregon 4-2 tonight. A good win for them. Yeah. Right now, top of the 6th, Southern Cal is up 5-4 on Cal State Fullerton. Meanwhile,
they have to win.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the team I was going to highlight, which I'll go ahead and show this right now, Our mid-major spotlight this week was going to be UCI, but we're running tight on time, so I'm going to run through it. But UCI is currently playing UCLA, and they are down 10-3 right now in the 6th inning. So that is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Golden Broom Award, the award for the team that won their midweek and swept their series, voted on by the administrative team at College Baseball Smack, presented by Chinook Cedary. Promo code Golden Broom for 10% off your order. Visit ChinookCedary.com and use promo code Golden Broom. Do you like that? All right, so our Golden Broom recipients are from 2 weeks ago. We're going with the Tennessee Volunteers. The Vols moved to 11-0, which obviously has now changed, and they, I believe, are what 12,
17-0.
17-0. Yeah, 17-0 now. So a lot of games played since then. They're the last remaining undefeated team in the country, heading into conference play against the Florida Gators this week. You know, I mean, Gavin Killen, he's killing it, literally. And, I mean, this team, they appear to be special. They do have a lot of good dudes on that offense. So there's no doubt that this team is going to be good this year. They're going to hit a lot of home runs. They had a good week 2 weeks ago. You beat North Alabama 7-5, which let me go ahead and tell you, people say North Alabama, they probably suck. No, that team is game. They play hard. We just had a series against them at LSU. They played us hard. That is a good win for Tennessee in a midweek. And then they go and they play Oklahoma State, Rice, and Arizona. Rice is not good this year, so 13-3, kind of expected. Arizona's a team that they're hit and miss. They're playing Arizona State tonight. Last I saw, they were up. Oklahoma State, on the other hand, they lost tonight in extra innings to Dallas Baptist. And but in Oklahoma State, they started top 25. They left the top 25, re-entered, left, and now they're kind of just floating out in purgatory like the Beaver right now and just trying to figure things out. And unfortunately for them, they were not able to handle Tennessee, and that's why Tennessee got the Golden Broom. They had an impressive week. They kept it going. They didn't stop last week, and we'll see how they do against Florida this week. That being said, how would you like to see the curse of the Golden Broom presented tonight? Because that is what you're about to witness here. The Golden Broom this week goes to the Oregon Ducks. Do you have like a kind of button on there?
Let me see.
I like that. So Oregon lost tonight. Simple as that. Last week they beat Utah Tech 15-0. They sweep Southern Cal, who won our Dirty Jock Strap Award. They moved to 14-3. Now they're 14-4, 3-0 in the Big Ten. So one cool thing about Oregon, they've never lost a Big Ten game before, so that's a win. But yeah, our Golden Broom goes to the team that lost tonight. So that being said, though, definitely congratulations to the Oregon Ducks, though. They are having a good start to the season. They are actually in my Omaha 8 preseason. I'm riding with them, and we'll see how it goes for them. But obviously, money's not a factor for that program, so they should be able to put together a good team year in and year out, which is so weird, though, talking about Oregon and not Oregon State when it comes to being good at baseball right now. Even though Oregon State's fantastic at baseball right now, but it's weird that Oregon's in that conversation now. To me, it is anyway. But no, congratulations to the Oregon Ducks. Very good team. Unfortunately, they were not able to win tonight, but it happens. Big weekend coming up this weekend. Ready to see it go down. But that said, it's all the graphics we got for you tonight. Chris, give me some predictions for this weekend and your final thoughts. What do you got?
I love it. You guys are so great.
And with that leading my way about you guys being so great.
Please change your voice. Please change your voice. Please change your voice.
Say what?
I want to hear the voice changer one. That one's so funny.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, I'm going to take a look at some Big Ten stuff, right? There's a team out here sitting at 11-3 that took a big fat L today. Okay? That team would be Penn State. They lost 14-10 to Georgetown. But let's take a look at Penn State real quick. Out of all their games that they've played, again, they're 11-3. They've played 14 games. They've scored double digits in runs. Ten times. 10 times scoring double digits in runs. So, I'm going to make a massive prediction for this week's Big Ten. Penn State scores 10 or more runs 3 times again. Because they have an offense that puts runs on the board. And they're going to do it. And they might not win very many games in the Big Ten. I think they're an up-and-coming program. But that's a team, if you're a Big Ten fan, you should probably keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
And the reason I say they're going to put up 10 runs in all 3 games this weekend is they are playing another team trying to build something special. That's Northwestern. They've been off to a good start this year. I think that good start ends this weekend when Penn State boat races them.
I like it.
I see a comment. Dwierza versus Obermiller. The best pitcher in the country. And I don't think there's very much debate about that. Joseph Dwierza. I think he puts on a show.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's going to be good. Whoa. How did that go to a deep voice like that?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Do you like it?
I like the deep voice. That was so cool. It's like so... That's amazing. That is amazing. But no, I'm with you on that. I like that pick. My predictions for this weekend are that you're going to see some craziness. I think that keep your eyes on, honestly, I say keep your eyes on the Kansas Jayhawks. That's a team you got to watch. They're dangerous, man. They really are. Their fan base is really stepping up. The student section's killing it right now. They're the most talked about thing in college baseball. I love every bit of it. I mean, it is amazing. But Alabama, Texas A&M, that series is going to be a big, just big in general. And the reason I say that is because Alabama has a lot of hype on them. They believe in themselves. They've started good. They're looking to continue that going forward. A&M, on the other hand, they've been trending down. They have a chance to really bounce back up, start out strong in league play. I think that is going to be a very hard-fought series. I really do. That being said, I'm taking Alabama to win that series on the road to kick off SEC play and just make me go.
Oh, on the road?
Oh, yes, sir.
On the road?
That kind of sounds like Kenny when you said that.
On the road?
Another one to watch out for, though, obviously, Tennessee, Florida. I think that's going to be a fun series. I really do. I think it is. I think it's going to be a very, just a tough series. I think the Sunday game is going to be high scoring by both teams, but I think Friday and Saturday is going to be legitimate, just hard-nosed baseball. I think that Doyle is going to just throw a freaking gem on Friday. But the question is, will the bullpen be able to back him up when he comes out of the game? That is the big question.
They won't need to. They'll be up so much. the bullpen can afford to give up a couple runs.
Maybe. That said, here's my bold prediction of the weekend. Florida wins 2 of 3 against Tennessee.
Ooh.
And sends Twitter into a frenzy. And I'm going to actually probably stay off Twitter if that happens because, oh my God. Because look, LSU plays Missouri this weekend. I don't see us losing a game in that series. And that's not even my bias. That's just common sense, what I've seen on the field so far side. So I think LSU will probably remain at number 1. That being said, if Tennessee goes in and sweeps Florida, number 1 team in the country, anyone disputes that, they're stupid. I will stand on that hill. If they win 2 of 3, I would be okay with them being number 1. If Florida goes in there and wins that series and or sweeps it, I would be okay with them at number 1. That's just the way it goes. But no, I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to conference play really kicking off. I think it's going to be fun to watch. So yeah, just be sure to tune in next week. We're going to break it all down, what we saw over the weekend. We'll be back in full force, ready to go. Hopefully Randy's getting ready to get his stomach ready to enjoy some Chicago pizza this week. Lucky dude. And I'm hoping with some belts to asses this weekend, to be honest.
I got to put belt to ass.
I like it. I like it.
Here's why. Nate, come on, man. Watch out for UCF. Is there a reason you're saying that, Nate? Could it be that UCF beat Florida as you're saying watch out for UCF?
Hey, to be fair,
on,
UCF
Nate. Come on, Nate.
UCF has a good squad this year. No, I like UCF. I really do. I think they're like 12-3 right now. They've had a good start to the season. They're a dangerous team. That's the one thing
Big
going
12
for them.
champions.
They very well could be too. They have to go on the road though this week. Go to BYU. That's not fun. Going from Florida to Utah, that is the only thing that sucks for this conference realignment for a lot of these teams that are not in the SEC. Because at least in the SEC, you're not having to go too far. But my God, these like California teams having to go all the way to the East Coast and vice versa, that sucks. That really does. But no, I mean, hey, UCF, I gotta give them props. They won 14-4 over Miami tonight. That's a very good win for them. They won 13-3 against Florida when they played. That's insane that they beat both those teams by 10 points. That really is. I mean, but I gotta give them props. I mean, they have the win over Missouri. It's not really saying much, but it's still beating an SEC team. But then there is one team in the state of Florida, though, that I think you really should look out for that's not going to be talked about a lot, and that's Florida Atlantic. Because they got some dudes. They've already beat, they beat Miami this year. They beat Connecticut 2-3. They lost a close one at Florida. But I mean, I think it's a dangerous team for a mid-major level because I think they are going to be a tournament team this year. I think that their schedule is manageable enough because honestly, FAU has some dudes on their team. I mean, and historically they've had dudes. What's his name? Chanel, that's in the pros right now. Like he literally went from FAU straight to the league. Like he didn't even play minor league ball. He just got called up. You don't see that happen. You can churn out talent like that. Get it going. And why not? So excited to see what they do. State of Florida always has good baseball programs, so it is what it is. But that being said,
I love it. You guys are so great.
I love this soundboard. I'm gonna have to get me one of these things because this is just straight up cool. It really is. I think it'll work with my microphone anyway. I was actually at Target looking at one the other day, so we'll see. But no, be sure to enjoy the games this weekend. Be sure, if you don't mind, please give us a like, a follow, a share, all that on Facebook, Golden Broom Podcast. We need to get some more likes on there so we can go live on the page. You have to be at 100. Unfortunately, we had to start over with our page, so we need your support to get us there to 100. Getting close. Doing a poster giveaway if you get to 100.
Yes.
So
on our Facebook page, whoever becomes the 100th follower will have your choice between an action photo of Bryce Harper swinging the bat, or an in-game above stadium shot at Yankee Stadium during a game at night is a pretty cool shot. You get your choice, whichever one you want. If you're the 100th person to like our page, you get that choice. No purchase required.
I'll up the ante too. When we hit 500, one of these Golden Broom hats like I'm wearing right here, I'll order you one and get it sent to you before Chris gets one. Nah. So no, and actually, I've been behind the scenes. I've been chatting around and working with people. We're talking about maybe getting some merch available, see how that works, and if it can become a thing or whatever. I would personally like to put some hats out there and stuff if people wanted to wear them. I mean, I love this hat. It's my favorite hat that I have. I like how the logo turned out on it. It's a leather patch.
I'm pretty sure our viewers would rather see me wearing a Golden Broom hat than a Vanderbilt hat.
It's very true. It's very true. But that being said, we appreciate you all tuning in tonight. This has actually been very good views tonight for us since we've had to start over and we're starting on a new platform. So we're very thankful for that. We appreciate you all coming in and spending your evening with us tonight. That being said, have a good evening. We'll see you Tuesday. Enjoy the games and go Tigers.
On the diamond where they play, sweeping competition every day. Around